the first of two major races here as the cars come out for the Berryman Muscle Car Challenge for TA2. The roar and the rumble of these wonderful Trans Am cars echoing through these hallowed grandstands that are the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. They've been running races here since 1909. There isn't a driver on the planet that doesn't want to be here at some point in their career and witness this amazing and historic amphitheater for motorsport. It is, with these especially, wonderful muscle cars, a glorious sound to behold. In terms of the grid, Rafa Matos, the man leading the championship at the moment, is ahead of Scott Lagasse, who, of course, was not second on the grid. That was Shane Lewis, in fact, but Shane Lewis, we'll talk about that in a moment, had an alteration to his airflow, and he has been moved to the back, and there were several other drivers who also took a penalty for changing tyres after their qualifying session. So it's Matos, Lagasse, Bufamonte, Thomas Merrill coming in this weekend from California, John Atwell, Joe Napoleon, Ethan Wilson, the rookie, in 7th place. Paul Tracy, the former Indy hero and now superstar broadcaster, is here. And he's got a busy weekend because he's also racing in SVRA. So it's great to see him back. He's already raced once this season, has Paul Tracy. Alongside me, Jonathan Green, is Jake Dallenbach, and we welcome our viewers on Motor Trend On Demand because this is going to be a bit of fun here, but it's hot, very, very hot. Hotter than Indy is. I mean, it's always hot in the summer here in Indy, but it's super hot this weekend.
Yeah, and that's going to be a big thing for these drivers. I talked to a lot of them today and yesterday. Tire management is going to be really big here. Main thing is when you qualify with these TA2 cars, you have to start the race on those qualifying tires. So there's several different strategies that could be going on. Some guys might have taken it easy to save it for the race, and those cars that went to the back, they might have burned off their tires.
Got to ask you about the alteration to airflow from Shane Lewis. Naughty, naughty.
Yeah, that could be. What that basically means is they altered the airflow into the engine. More air, more fuel, more horsepower. So they got caught doing something, and unfortunately that put them in the back.
Okay then, here we go. Down the famous straight on the Grand Prix circuit, of course, going backwards down the Indy Oval circuit. And Rafa Matos leads them across the famous Brickyard strip as the green flag waves here for the Muscle Car Challenge. Matos didn't get the best of starts, and he's got work to do now. They flow into the first right-hander. Everybody cleanly through, slightly wide there by one of them, but everybody gathering themselves into the next tight right-hander. Matos in third after that start. I think Scott Lagasse got away well. Bufamonte's there in 4th position. Merrill, Atwell, Napoleon. But Rafa will be kicking himself. This is the race he really wants to go well at. He's had such a sensational start to the season as Rafa Matos, but of course he started his career in Indy and he knows this Brickyard all too well and moves himself straight into 2nd place there as they go round the inside past the golf course of this famous Indy circuit. There's the number 9 of Keith Prochuk, who had a good run in Detroit, or an up and down run. He had one good result and then not so good. And of course they are on a fast and furious run of events. We were just at Detroit with Indy a couple of weeks ago. So we've hauled it down here, and here is everybody in action. A beautiful shot of Indy in the background as we come on the infield section and then onto the famous oval as we come to complete the first lap. And already this field starting to spread out. Rafa getting up to 2nd place, but he really didn't get the best of starts. That's gone to the number 95 as he crosses the strip.
I think Rafa is really just trying to get away from Tony Bufamonte right now. There's only about 30 points separating those guys.
I was going to say, yeah, Rafa leads the championship after 3 successive wins. Got another win in Detroit. Got his first win at Road Atlanta. And amazingly, he was, of course, in the series last year, but didn't get a win, and that was almost the monkey off his back, someone, and he's been winning ever since. But Scott Lagasse off and running, the man from Florida in the Chevrolet Camaro, and look at him go. Look at the gap he's already created.
Yeah, they've got that thing hooked up. They figured something out in qualifying.
Now, as we mentioned before, and it was said at the top of the program, as we take a look at the top of the screen, this will tell you exactly where everyone is going down, and we'll be keeping an eye. There's the young 18-year-old Lawless Allen coming in. He's in 14th. We'll be keeping an eye, certainly, on to see how far Shane Lewis can get up the field as this race continues. Lawless in 14th position. Doug Peterson, another man to watch. He's given his car effectively to Paul Tracy for this race. Paul Tracy currently in 6th position. And we're watching that battle for 2nd and 3rd, being led by Rafa Matos at the moment. But yeah, Shane Lewis has got some work to do after that situation where he was pushed to the back effectively, as were several cars, but the one most outstanding, obviously, Shane Lewis. And there he is in 22nd position, 15.3 seconds adrift at the moment. They cross the line again.
Shane Lewis is pretty good at this track. I mean, Shane Lewis was pretty good at this track. It won't take him very long to get back up there for sure.
Yeah, and like you say, I think the real battle we're watching has to be Bufamonte and Rafa Matos, no question about it. Richard Deal coming in, 18th position, another rookie. We've got quite a few guys from the West this time, and it just packs out the field a little bit more. Jordan Butt down in 12th position. There is your leader, Scott Lagasse Jr., ahead of Rafa Matos. The gap, 1.3 seconds.
So the 0-2 there get a little squirrely from there.
I know, we've got some good battles here already. And this is a long race. Now let's talk about the tyres. A lot of the time you've spent talking about tyre management. Every driver we've spoken to has said that's going to be the key in this heat, particularly on this circuit. There's a lot of heavy braking at the end of the straight. There's 2 big heavy braking points, but it's tyre management and it's being good to those tyres. How do you do that, Jay?
It's the worst when you have to save tires. With these cars, they're going to burn off the rear tires a lot more than the fronts here. It's one of those things. It's a balance. If you're out front, you can take it a little easier on the tires, like Lagasse and Rafa and these guys right here that we see battle. They're battling hard, so they're going to burn off the tires a little bit more. So there's a lot of different strategies going on right now.
Yeah, the good news for those top 3, though, is they pulled away from Bufamonte in 4th place, and as you say, they either have a choice. They either battle each other and ruin each other's tyres in the hope of becoming the leader, or they hold it out. And Bufamonte might be the smartest man out there right now because he's in 4th position. He's got a decent lead over Joe Napoleon. He knows where he is in the championship, and he doesn't really want to get embroiled in a big battle right now. Tom Sheehan in 7th place. Ethan Wilson, the rookie, in 8th. John Atwell coming in this weekend in 9th at the moment, and Keith Prochuk from Chicago in 10th position, ahead of Jordan Butt. Matt Perrant in 12th position, Kurt Voigt in 13th, then Lawless Allen in 14th position.
And Shane Lewis is...
.39 laps to go in this one, and it is a race against time. 75 minutes, 100 miles. And quite a long race, actually, especially in this heat, because there's really no extra devices, no extra comforts in these cars at all. And I wonder how Paul Tracy's getting on, because he's already done a race this weekend. He's currently in 6th position. And with that big route to Paul, he's not been in a car for a few years. We were talking to him. He came actually into Trans Am earlier in the year at Road Atlanta as a one-off, he thought. Really enjoyed it. Had to come and park his way all the way through the field. But since then, I just think, I mean, he's in the booth doing Indy every weekend now with the rest of the team, Townsend Bell. Of course, I don't know, he does enjoy it, but I know he's been getting a lot of ribbing about being back in racing and just being, being back in a car. So anytime any racer driver, we've got to turn around here. And that's the 0-2 car turned around in the middle of the track. Let's hope it doesn't bring out a caution and we can get it going again.
And we saw him get really loose there coming off of that corner, so.
He has got it going again.
I'm sure Shane Lewis definitely wanted to see a caution there. See if we can take a look at it.
Yep. Well, he was pretty much on his own there, wasn't he?
Yeah, good heads up by the rest of those guys. It looks like he looks like he's been battling a loose race car.
John Atwell, it was, the man from Azle, Texas, spinning it round. Back to the leaders here, and they're already catching up with some of the back markers as we go down the long straight here at Indy. And Matos has taken some good time out of Lagasse now, and it's a two-way battle at the front now. Under pressure now, Scott Lagasse, who took the lead early on. Matos dropped to fourth after the opening salvo, so to speak. And now there's Bufamonte coming through in the 34. So Rafa going for the lead early on. Tommy Sheehan up to 8th position now, just behind Ethan Wilson, who's also moved up to 7th. Joe Lapone in his 6th position, just ahead of him, Paul Tracy. And then Bufamonte, who we're watching right now on screen in that all blue, bright Mustang. And Tony, of course, pole position at Detroit. He really had his tail up there. At the beginning of the season, we know his history, of course. He's one of the most successful men in Trans Am, but Bufamonte didn't get out of the traps as quickly as we'd expected at Sebring and the first 2 rounds. But since Detroit, he's looked a lot racier.
Pretty good battle here between the 12 and I believe the Berryman car. I don't know what happened to the 12. He was right on the back bumper of him, and then he kind of looked like he got a little loose or went in a little bit too hard.
Paul Van Terry, you're talking about the number 12. And Tracy.
Paul Van Terry has moved himself up past all 4 cars. He looks like he's on a roll right now.
Well, he's just got past Chris Pedersen of Illinois, and Pedersen going wide. Low! Yeah, any horsepower under there? I think so. Sometimes a little too much.
Just a little. Yeah, these guys are going after it pretty good.
It's great to see. And of course, all of these cars, pretty much 500 brake horsepower. And if you said before, it's almost a spec series, isn't it? As close as we get to.
Yeah, and I'm watching this blue car here. He is doing all he can to get back these spots. He's driving awfully aggressively, and that goes back to the tires. You know, he's going to burn them up.
Use them at your peril.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then, another lap completed. Everybody jostling for position. Anthony Honeywell, who came in at Detroit, one of Mark Miller's team. Doug Peterson, 16th position at the moment. And Eric Quine also coming in this weekend in 18th position. Tim Kesman, 19th at the moment.
Yeah, that 70 car, I mean...
Samuel Lecomte, that is.
Yeah, he is driving all over the place trying to get under, under that car.
Back to the leaders, Lagasse now and Matos. Joined at the hip almost, and Matos looking for a way past, and he's going to try to use the back markers now. And it's going to be interesting how Scott Lagasse plays this, because as we mentioned, 2 long straights. And here's one of them, obviously the main straight, and that'll be no problem for the leader and Matos to go past. Matos about a length behind as they cross the yard of bricks and head down towards the first corner, and both men will go through. And Matos right there under braking now. We've got a cracking battle and a long way to go in this yet. And Matos, oh! Hey, if you didn't know I was there, Scott, hi, I'm here. I'm Rafa, I'm leading the championship. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I mean, what I'm noticing with Rafa, he is doing a way better job under braking than Lagasse, and I think he knows that. He's just got to be a little bit more patient.
Well, he's not known for his patience as the Brazilian, but
no.
To be honest, that was one of the things he said at the beginning of the season. He's just got to bide his time a little bit better, not be so aggressive. And of course, coming from a single-seater background, you know, that's what it's all about. I mean, you have, it's almost, you've got to have sort of patience but aggression at the same time. And yeah, you blow it here and it's a long way to get it back, isn't it?
Absolutely, and I think if I were in Matos' position, and this is what I see he's doing, he's going hard this lap to figure out where he's quicker than Lagasse, and he's going to figure it out, and then he's going to figure out where he can make that move.
Well, it's all on the braking as far as I can see. Every time they come into a braking point, and Matos
there it
goes
is.
3. Brilliant stuff by the Brazilian. Just a quick blip And through he went, and now Lagacy's got to really think about this. Is he going to try and bounce back early on, or just follow Matos for a while and try to do exactly what you just described, try to see where he's weakest not. So they cross the yard of bricks with Rafa Matos leading at Indy here in TA2. Good recovery from Rafa, done well there. Didn't get the start at all. Rolling start, of course, but he just got bogged off the line, or didn't get the acceleration he wanted, whether he missed a gear or not. But by the time they got to the first corner, he was already in 4th place. But now look at him go. He's extending that lead early on now.
And he's got the points on his mind. I mean, it's
Yes.
different when you come here, you know, a guy like Paul Tracy coming in for a couple races, like we talked about in Detroit. I mean, he wants to put as many points between him and Tony as possible.
Well, what's amazing is from Rafa Matos' season, he's on 160 points to Bufamonte's 126, and he's hardly been out of the top 3. He had 5th place in the round 2, and that's been the worst he's done. And that's really impressive, to be honest. Bufamonte's right there. Lewis is in 3rd position, and Lewis is the man who's going to lose out the most this weekend. And depends how far up the board he gets. And Prochuk down in 4th position, and then Van Terry on 90 points, but he's a long way down too. So this is an important race for Rafa Matos. They all are, of course, but in terms of maybe breaking the back of just getting a little bit more of an advantage than everybody else here at Indy, this could be a big weekend for him. And there's the Berryman car. Again, great to have Berryman on board for the Trans Am at the Brickyard. And Jake, as I said before, you may well come from a famous racing family, but there's nothing like being here, and no racing driver worth his salt doesn't just adore the idea of getting on the track, never mind racing it.
No, absolutely. We had a little problem there with car number 5. Not sure what happened there. He might have looped it around, but yeah, I mean, it's Indy. It's the capital of racing, and no matter if it's on the road course or the oval here, just to be here is a lot of fun.
David Smith it was who was going slow, the Canadian, one of the rookies out there. And we've got several from the West Coast Championship this weekend. Good to have them on board, and they'll be fighting for their points, of course. Here's another replay.
Well, it looks like he had some help.
He got nudged from behind, quite simply.
I'm not sure if that's going to end up in some sort of penalty. Go up to
Well,
the
it wasn't
chief
his
steward.
fault by the looks of things, was it? So then, the field's starting to spread out. Matos has increased his lead, and it's just under a second, but he's increasing it with every lap. 33 to go. The number 67 going through your shot right now. That, of course, Chris Pedersen, who was in the wars earlier. We're back with the leader now, Rafa Matos, and he has got his foot down now in the three-dimensional services car. Onto the main straight again. Rafa Matos in his peak, crosses the line. And he hasn't the gap hasn't come down too much. Thomas Merrill doing a really good job in 3rd position. He's managed to stay with these two. Bufamonte dropped right off in 4th place. And now moving up, Paul Tracy, sniffing the chance here at Indy for a little bit of glory, perhaps. Paul Tracy's probably had the most practice. He's been out in the SVRA already in a Corvette, I believe.
Yeah,
so maybe, just maybe, Paul Tracy thinking, you know what, Bufamonte, I got you.
I don't know. We talked to him a little bit earlier. I asked him if it helped him any, and he's like, actually, no. Being in that old Corvette actually hurts me.
Well, the braking points are all different. You know, it's a different car. It handles differently. Yeah, I don't think it can ever be that easy racing on the same track with two completely different cars on the same day. You know, it's one thing to leap out of one car to go on another in the same class, but to race with different braking and different acceleration, very hard indeed.
Looks like Merrill is a little bit quicker than Lagacy in a little part of this track here, but then Lagacy under the straightaways, he seems to pull away.
He, of course, racing in the Big Deal Racing Ford Mustang, and they are a big deal this weekend. First time we've had them in our sights this year. Rafa doing an exceedingly good job now. He's got the lead. He's got his head down, as you can see. He's putting in the laps now. Comes down the front straight again, past our commentary position. 31 laps to go. Matos, the gap. 2.1 seconds now.
Pulled away a little bit.
Yep. That was a good lap. There's Buffamonte, and there's Paul Tracy. The number 87 of Paul Tracy. Yes, it is the very same.
Chrome horn.
There he is.
And if I'm in Tracy's position right now, I want a caution. He's just as quick. He's running with the leaders. But if I were him, I'd love to see a caution right now because he's pretty good at restarts.
See, the thing is, everybody in Indy is watching this race right now live. And they're saying to themselves, every weekend you're talking about my race and it's Scott Dixon or it's, you know, any Will Power. And of course he's saying, oh, that was a terrible move. Or, come on, Will Power, what are you doing? Because he's pretty outspoken as Paul Tracy. He was outspoken as a racer and he's an outspoken broadcaster, as he should be. He's fantastic for the job. But once you throw yourself back in the seat, you're open to it.
Yeah, it's a little different. It's easy to sit here and say, oh, you should have done that different. But it's when you're in the car, it changes the game quite a bit.
What I love about this, and we know the 52-year history of Trans Am, everybody does, all the good guys have raced in it. It was funny, I was talking to Bobby Unser, who's here this weekend, Johnny Rutherford also here. I was asking Bobby if he'd ever been, he goes, no, but Willie T. Ribbs used to beg me every weekend to come and race Trans Am with him. He said, I never made it, but he said, I'd love to have done. And that's true, I think, of any of the greats, including Bobby Unser. But when you get Paul Tracy, you know, they don't need to race. But such is the sort of mystique and attraction of this great sport of Trans Am. Boris said is coming here this weekend. I mean, you know, Boris is retired. I said, what are you doing back here? He said, well, I just want to race a real race car, you know, one with horsepower and gears, and, you know, none of that extra stuff. In comes the 67, trouble then for Chris Pedersen. He's in the pits and shouldn't be, so problems for him. But you know what I mean? I think that's true of every racing driver. They just love a little bit of muscle car.
Yeah, and you look at all the guys, all NASCAR guys, all the retired drivers, they all go back to something cool like that, sprint cars or hill climb cars, and Trans Am falls into that. It's the best of both worlds.
And you know what's funny? The mystique is true, and I know this listening to, we did an interview, a special with Rafa Matos, and he was talking about growing up in Brazil, and you know, he always wanted to drive one of these, and I do. Growing up in England, you know, we hear a lot about the mystique of the 70s and 80s, NASCAR and Trans Am. That's American racing, and everybody sees the muscle cars and goes, "Oh, that sounds great." And you know, it's as true today as it's ever been. But I know certainly from Rafa's point of view, growing up in Brazil, he wanted to be in a car like this eventually, and now he's got his chance, and he's taking it, isn't he? I have to say, he's got a very single-mindedness this season about wanting to take this championship.
Yeah, he's been super focused every time I talk to him. He's in the zone all the time, and his car here, I'm just watching him go through that turn 3, 4, 5, and 6, and that thing is hooked up. It is stuck to the ground.
Well, as he said in one of the press releases, unfinished business at Indy, because in many ways, he was rookie, Indy Lights Rookie of the Year, and of course, coming here to the Brickyard, never won here, and really wants to do that. Now, what do we got here? Coming on to the main straight again. Looking for some battles further on down, and here they come across the line. There's a good battle here. It's the 23 at the back of this group. And that's Kurt Voigt, who started in 12th position. And there you see him just going through your shot there.
Trying to keep up with Shane.
Yeah. Well, Shane Lewis has done a really good job, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's come from the back up to 11th now.
Yeah, he's going to get some points. Yeah, I'm going to say he's going to get some points. And despite breaking the rules just and getting caught, he was pushed to the back, and we got a spinner. That's number 26. Spun right round. And he's not in a good spot either. Let's hope he's got that engine running. That's Alan Lawless, the young 18-year-old. And he's kind of breaking the law of the road track there at the moment. He's, of course, been running in the NASCAR Junior Series and doing a really good job there. And just wants to get some extra road course. And he says this is the nearest thing to racing a NASCAR he can get to. And why not throw himself in? And has already done one race, I think, at Homestead, and now he's back here again. But a mistake there has spun him round.
Shane Lewis, ooh.
Lewis is pushing
on. Didn't
quite
get it, yeah.
This is a good four-way battle here.
It's 9th, 10th, and 11th there.
Yep. Lawless down to 13th position and a lap behind, as is Matt Parent. but still out front. Rafa Matos leading now, and the difference 3.5 seconds. So he's extended that lead over Scott Lagasse. And Thomas Merrill in third place and quite some way ahead of Tony Bufamonte. Now Lewis looking for another overtake. Thought about it.
Yeah, I don't think he was close enough for that.
Yeah, Shane Lewis is needing these points in many ways going into this weekend. He dropped down the board somewhat.
Matos is hooked up here. He's opened up a 4-second lead here.
Yeah, looking at the points, 105 Shane Lewis, and with Bufamonte up ahead of him, he just wants to get as many points as he can on the board. And it looks fairly obvious that Rafa, unless something untoward happens, is going to take this one and extend that lead as he crosses the line again. And the 67 back in the pits again. That's Pedersen. And we just saw the 87 also having a pit stop.
Merrill knocked off a second off his lap there, chasing down Lagasse.
Just checking, was that Paul Tracy that came in?
I don't think so.
One of the 80s, it wasn't Paul Tracy, I don't think. Across the line comes Lewis. Matos, Lagasse, Merrill, Bufamonte, Paul Tracy, Joe Napoleon, who had quite a run at Detroit, involved in a collision and had a few problems there, but holding on to sixth place, the man from Magnolia, Texas. His best lap of 1:33.6. Whoa! Grass tracking.
Merrill and Lagasse off the track.
There is a golf course here, but that's a par 5, folks.
I'm not sure they got into each other. And the 76 is around.
So we've got all sorts of drama, and it's nowhere near the end yet.
Might be a little slick out there.
Well, and we are getting to a point. And here's a little, this is it, because of contact, I think. Let's see what happens. Look at this, a 4-way battle down the main straight. Fantastic stuff here. And Merrill, all over Lagasse.
He drove it in way too hard, yeah.
Yep, that doesn't work. And unfortunately, it's ended in drama for Thomas Merrill. And a little bit of contact sent them both across the grass.
So that could have been way worse.
Yes.
That could have been way, way worse. So Merrill did actually a pretty good job of trying to avoid it.
And we're looking at one of the rookies in the middle of this battle, Anthony Honeywell from Tulsa, and the number 76. They're currently running in 19th position, about to lose that to 20th. Richard Deal in 23rd position, one lap down again, yeah, in trouble. So they're starting to make mistakes here with 26 to go in the heat of Indy. And it is hot. Wouldn't want to think what the track temperature is, but I'm sure it's just as hot inside these TA2 cars here in Trans Am. You're watching the Berryman Trans Am at the Brickyard. It's been a good season so far, but it's been dominated, to be fair, by Rafa Matos.
I'm not sure if that 76 doesn't have a problem. It doesn't look like that car is handling very well for him.
Well, he's got it back going again, and he's back on the straight. Let's see what happens to him. Bufamonte still fourth, but as you can see, 16.4 seconds. Paul Tracy still there, and Tracy pushing on now. Matos crosses the line. Keeping an eye on him because got a feeling he might just try to make a move. Here he comes. He's got the time, that's for sure. Good recovery.
We're getting word that the 81 needs to let the 95 go back by.
Yeah, exactly. I was just listening to that on Race Patrol. Exactly what they're saying. So Thomas Merrill, who of course went a little bit of grass tracking a moment ago.
I think Lewis is coming. If he can outbrake him here.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, no problem there.
Doug Peterson still in the top 15. Not in his car at the moment. His own car, that is. He's given that to Paul Tracy.
Paul Tracy, another guy that needs a caution. I think he's about 18 seconds back at this point.
Well, I don't think the drama of this race has been played out yet. I really don't, because I think we said it at the top of this one. The tyres are going to come into play here as they start to go off. And I was asking a few of the drivers this morning, I said, well, is there an optimal time for the tyre? And he goes, no, it's really all to do with how you manage it and just how hard you push. And you said this earlier on. You know, with this many laps to go, as Matos makes another move on a back marker down the main straight, it's really down to this time now where everybody's feeling the tyre wear, but how well you manage it and how much of a fight you've been in depends on how much grip you've got. And again, another close down by Paul Tracy. He's getting ever closer now. In 5th place, to Bufamonte in 4th. Meanwhile, look at this battle. '97, Tom Sheehan, who had damage to his car twice in Detroit. Had to work all night in Detroit after the first day on the doubleheader, remember. And now back in the saddle, so to speak. Beautiful day, a glorious day here in Indianapolis. And Rafa Matos carving his way through, but has to be careful coming up on Samuel Lecomte now of Mount Texas, and everybody getting the good marshalling here, seeing those flags waved, knowing that the leader is coming through. But this is not easy, I don't think, for a driver when you're going so much faster than the man in front of you. It's almost easier when you're being chased. I think it's harder when you're coming up on traffic, because you just can't predict what they're going to do.
Yeah, and once you come up on a car and you're lapping a car and you make a commitment and they decide to get in front of you, I mean, that's the worst way to end a racing day, is leading the race and get taken out by a lapped car. So, and Rafa knows that. Yeah,
I'm going to say, I was watching a little bit of Le Mans earlier, and of course, you know, that is a race, it's 24 hours. Everybody's always looking in their mirrors for somebody to come through. But you've got to remember, if you're a back marker in a race, a sprint race like this, even though it's over an hour, you're still not really looking in your mirrors the way you would in a long distance race. You're doing your race and you're going flat out. And sure, you might see a signal, but you don't know how quickly he's coming. And you don't, and certainly Rafa can't predict exactly where the men in front of him, especially if they're in their own battle, are going to be. So Rafa's just got to be careful. He'll probably gauge how much of a lead he's got, and then not overly push, because that's where he's going to get. If he's going to get an Achilles heel this weekend, unless it's mechanical, it'll be the traffic and how he deals with it, because he's well ahead of everybody. He's dispensed with the competition. Now he's just got to really beat him. You know, the only man who can beat him is him right now.
Right. That's hopefully, with some of these lapped cars, the big thing is, and the big thing that I think everybody understands is, when the leader's coming up on you, just pick a lane and stay there. You commit, and they'll find a way to get around you. Don't try to get out of their way, because that's when accidents happen.
Well, and with this much time, 22 laps to go, my feeling would be just wait for the front straight to do your overtaking and be done with it. And if you don't need to overtake anybody, don't do it in the infield, you know?
Right, especially with the gap that Rafa's got right now.
Yeah. So then, the three-dimensional services Chevrolet Camaro of Rafa Matos of Boca Raton, Florida, who's dominated this championship in terms of podiums this year and wins, and looks as though he's about to do it again. Meanwhile, we've got some other battles going on, which could lead to some interesting finishes here. Tommy Sheehan's coming through. Jordan Bott's not had the best of days, down in 11th position. And Shane Lewis has done a really good job of certainly saving his blushes, so to speak, and getting himself into a points position.
Yeah, but he's still 24 seconds behind Paul Tracy. So with 22 to go, anything can happen, but I know a couple of these guys really wishing for a caution.
How much does the handling change? I mean, we talk about the tires going off, but what about the car itself? Does it handle well once it starts to get a fuel load and so on and so forth?
The lighter the car gets, it depends on your setup, but most of the time the lighter it gets, the greasier it gets, the slicker it gets. And my thing that I hate is when when you burn the front tires off and then you can't steer.
Right.
You know, and I think that goes across the board for a lot of the drivers. Is I'd rather have a loose race car in the rear than the thing that won't steer. So it changes quite a bit throughout the race.
Got some good battles throughout here. Still a long way to go in this one. Crossing the strip again. Keeping an eye on Buffamonte and Paul Tracy. Buffamonte just past our commentary position. Paul Tracy just behind. In terms of best lap, they're almost identical, Buffamonte and Tracy. So try as he might, Buffamonte's doing a good job, and in fact they were almost identical across the Yard of Bricks last time out in terms of their lap times. As we go back to Rafa, Three-Dimensional Services Group. He's done a good job for them this year. He's got plenty of airtime, has the 88, and well he might. He has been the man. It was great to see him celebrate at Road Atlanta when he got out of the car and jumped on the roof. You could tell it meant so much. And from there on in, like you say, he's kind of had that steely eye again. He's been around a while, has Rafa. Raced a lot of different things, but I just feel like he feels like he's at home with this. And that's the 87.
Legacy.
What's happened? No, that's Paul Tracy. And Paul Tracy's had contact.
Yeah, he might think he's got a flat.
Well, he might have had a flat because he's hit something, because that was not. That is new damage. Yeah, so, sadly, Paul Tracy,
good run,
good run, having been up there, and this is shades of last time out at Road Atlanta, because he had problems there with his bodywork. That was the wing last time. Now it's the front. And sadly, that good little battle that was starting to form between himself and Buffamonte is over. And Shane Lewis, how about this, is up to 6th place.
He'll be up to 5th.
Yeah, that'll move him up some more. So, a really intriguing battle this. Shane Lewis up to 5th place, Buffamonte 4th, Merrill still 3rd, Lagasse 2nd, and they're all chasing Rafa Matos. Doug Peterson watching on there, of course, as he's given his car to Paul Tracy, who sadly looks as though he's dinged it. We'll find out what happened. Here's Rafa again. Just dispensing with the traffic.
Rafa's putting on quite a clinic today.
Yeah, he is. He's done a really good job, and he hasn't lifted much, that's for sure. His best lap at 32.3. His last time at 36. He's knocked it off, but he's also in traffic, so I don't expect him to be putting in sensational times. And he's got a huge lead at the moment. Everybody else making mistakes. From Lagasse to Merrill. Buffamonte hasn't, but was quite a distance behind in the Mike Cope Racing Ford Mustang. But really impressive by Shane Lewis up into the top 6 in basically the distance of this race. With 19 to go, he may challenge Buffamonte before this is done.
This is a good battle for 9th and 10th here.
Jordan Butt in the blue and white.
I think he'll try and make a move here.
And I think he's gonna. Yep, absolutely. Mustang versus Camaro. Classic Trans Am Racing. He thought about it. Couldn't quite pull it off. He's up again. Keith Prochik, of course, who is pretty handy himself and is used to this wheel-to-wheel fighting.
not sure you can do that. Might be a penalty for that.
What, for Kurt Voigt?
Yep. Looks like he cut the track to get around him.
Well, if in doubt, Rafa continues to scythe his way through down the main straight again. And like I said, the only thing really going to slow down Rafa now is this traffic. And you can see he's just dispensed with 3 others. But he's handling it well. Merrill's now on traffic too. Bufamonte, they're all coming into traffic as they head down the main straight, and that's the best time to dispense with slower cars, is down this long main straight here. You don't want to get into this twisty section here and get stuck behind anybody.
Yeah, the 23 is going to have that drive-through penalty for cutting the course there.
Yep, I think so. I think you're right. So Kurt Voigt.
The group here is getting antsy.
Yeah, I like it. It's good. Now we'll keep an eye on whether they do make a decision on him. So Trans Am racing here at the Brickyard. This, the Berryman Trans Am at the Brickyard. And this, the Muscle Car Challenge. And of course, we've got the Berryman Trans American TA 3 and 4 race, TA race as well, all in one. That one tomorrow. But right now, the man who is basking in the sunshine of Indy is this man. Comes onto the straight again. He's got quite a length between himself and those in front of him. He's just got to be cautious now. There's nothing anyone else could do to challenge him if he keeps this pace up. Last time out, a 33.5. He's gone back to the sort of pace he was on earlier. But really, Thomas Merrill's not even in the same zip code.
Yeah, and the good thing about this track for Rafa, too, if a guy does spin, like we've seen, there's usually enough time to get going again. So that really works out into his advantage.
Yeah, and I say it's hard to pass on it's such a wide track, you know, compared to some of the other tracks that they race at. Even if you do get into trouble, there's plenty of runoff and there's plenty of room on the asphalt itself. I mean, obviously on race line through a corner like this, you're not going to make a move, but there is enough time to recover if you get in trouble here and not effectively ruin your race. So as long like he's doing exactly the right thing here. He's just tucking himself up behind, waiting for the moment, and he could probably get by right now. Give himself, yeah, you see what I'm saying? It's not hard as long as you don't force an error or force the man in front of you to go offline or do something different than he's been doing all race long. And again, through goes Rafa Matos, and he's making good work of this now as he comes through the infield section here at Indy to complete another lap. Paul Tracy all the way down to 4th place after that incident. And another man in the pits. It's like 57.
Reese Hull.
Yep.
It's one of our West Coast guys.
Well, it was a brief stop for whatever reason.
I think it looks like the car's overheating a little
bit. Yeah, you could see. Yeah, that's done. No point in going back out in that. It's hot enough as it is. So Bufamonte continues to try and pressure in 4th place. Lagassi's still 3rd. And this man, Rafa Matos, in the 3-dimensional services car, going about his business and going about his afternoon with glee. Well, they got the 57 in and out again. Wouldn't want to be in that cockpit.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, we got a spin.
The 70 of Sam Comet.
Yep. And that was at the end of the first turn, and he's got down the escape road. Here's another look at what happened. Yeah, just missed his braking. Whoa, was that mechanical? Something went wrong there.
No, I think he just
missed his braking point and braked too late.
Or he missed a shift, drove it in there.
Yeah, that's probably more than likely. Well, no mistakes so far, and I hope I don't give him the commentator's curse, but this has been a superb performance so far from Rafa Matos, and he's looked unchallenged. He didn't get the best of starts, to be fair. Back to Jordan Bupp. Excuse me, that's not Jordan Bupp. That's the number 80. It is Jordan Bupp. I stand corrected against myself. I love it. Bob had a podium earlier in the year.
Sheehan's going to force the issue there.
He is. His mechanics are going, no, not again. We don't need any more damage.
Hey, but he did pretty good with some wing damage, so.
Yes, he did. And Bub's just sneaked through. Side by side, good action this. Muscle car racing, and they're muscling each other off the circuit at the moment, these two. Look at it, side by side, excellent stuff. Trying to use the banking there for a second, maybe. But Bub gets it.
Sheehan thought better.
Yeah, exactly.
Better of it there.
He's like, I've done enough damage to this car in the last month. I'll hold back for now. So, are we going to have one more twist and turn to this race here? The clock ticking down, 15 laps to go. Rafa Matos totally dominated proceedings here. Everybody else losing their head a little, while Rafa has just kept his foot in and his head down and done a good job so far. We've had some good racing in the midfield. We've had the likes of Joe Napoleon, Tommy Sheehan all coming through. Shane Lewis dropped down to 11th position, so Shane, having got all the way up to 5th place, has now dropped down to 11.
And that might be some of that tire wear we were talking
could well
about.
be. So Napoleon now takes over at 5th place, and he's ahead of Jordan Butt and Tom Sheehan, who we've been watching in their battle here to round out the top 8, which is, at the moment, Keith Prochuk in 8th position, and then Ethan Wilson and Kurt Voigt in 10th. Tommy Sheehan just going through the left and then the right.
I'm not sure it was such a good idea to put Hull back out there. It looks like he's off the pace quite a bit.
Yeah, it becomes a bit of a mechanical bollard at that point, doesn't he? If he's going slow.
Napoleon seems to be having trouble with that turn 3 there.
Jordan Butt right behind him now. Cross the line again. 14 to go, and the gap at the moment between Rafa and Merrill, 18.6 seconds. Legassi in 3rd position. There's Rafa. And Bufamonte, not that far behind Legassi, but I think certainly comfortable enough to stay where he is. In comes the number 70. He, of course, the man who was in trouble at the end of the corner there. And another man in the gravel, in the kitty litter, goes the number 91.
And that will be a caution.
Yeah,
Unless he can get out of there.
Let's take another look at it. And, yeah, he's just offline, gets onto the dirty part of the track and really just ran out. Did Napoleon?
Yeah, and I'm not sure. It almost looked like he just sailed it in there trying to get around that lap car. And
I think he was trying to go on the lap car, and then he got on the marbles. Yeah, I mean, effectively, it's not so much the marbles, it's more just dust and dirt, really. They don't use this track that much. And he just slid off, didn't he? Simple as that.
They're going to go full course yellow, I believe, and number 95 lost his door.
You know, it's a hot day.
Yeah.
Maybe the air conditioner's not working. So then, we've got a full caution yellow, and this is the one thing that Rafa didn't really want. Rafa Matos is the man we're talking about, the man from Boca Raton, Florida, who's done a really good job this season, all season long.
As long as he gets a clean start, I think he'll be able to outbrake anyone that gives him any trouble.
Well, that's what impressed me at Detroit last time out, was that every time he had a restart, he was on the case. And he was asked a couple of times to say, do you want this? Do you want this bad? And he did. So I think he'll think the same thing again today. So Joe Napoleon brings us to a caution. And the Berryman Trans Am at the Brickyard slows down. And the adrenaline now flowing through the body, I'm sure, of Rafa Matos as he starts to think, and Jake, put me in the seat here. This has got to be the toughest time. You're all kind of planning your speech at the end there, and how are you going to do the champagne, and then suddenly you're going, now what? How do I do this?
It's once you're in the zone and you're knocking off laps and you're hitting your marks and everything, the last thing you want to see break that up is a full course caution. So if I'm Rafa, I've got to remember, if I'm in the car and it's a caution, 12 laps to go here, just get a clean restart. He's got the fastest car, and that's what you got to keep telling yourself. I have the fastest car here. All I need is a clean restart, and I'm good.
Yeah. Well, you've also been in the other position, which is driving the pace car. So how about that position? Let me put you back in that role. Because, I mean, you know, pace car drivers have become famous in the last few weeks.
I see that, yeah, after Detroit. Not as easy as it looks, I guess.
I just want to, for the record, that wasn't Jake Dallenbach who was driving the Corvette at Detroit, just for the record.
Thanks for clearing that up.
I just, you know, I know your mom was watching, so.
Yeah, that'd be the worst.
And I don't want the Dallenbach name, you know, brought into that.
Me neither.
You didn't see it, the pace car had a big crash in Detroit during the IndyCar race. And, that led to a lot of wagging of tongues and a lot of social media, shall we say. Involved a GM exec, so there you go. Pretty fun. Now, back to the action here at the Brickyard, at the Berryman Trans Am at the Brickyard. And so far, Rafa Matos has had it all one-way traffic. I'm just watching his engineers steam down the pit lane, but I don't think there's any drama. The drama is out on track at the moment as he follows the pace car around and will get a chance to restart. But as we've said, he's already proved he's pretty handy at restarts. He proved that at Detroit, and he's had to do it as the year has gone on, but it doesn't intimidate Rafa. Of course, his single-seater experience will help him with that as well.
And Merrill's going to have quite a bit of lap cars to go around before he can get to Matos, so he might have his hands full.
And now, well, he's just weaving to keep those tire pressures and keep the heat.
Now this is where this will be interesting because you know Merrill's coming.
Yep.
And you got the 3 lap cars. So it'll be interesting to see how those 4 cars shake out during this restart.
Oh, get out the way.
Yeah.
Or will it? Or yeah, exactly. So the lap's ticking down. Just a reminder, Matos leads the way in the 88 ahead of Merrill. Lagasse, Scott Lagasse, who led this race early on ahead of Buffamonte in 4th position. Jordan Butt's got all the way up to 5th. Done a really good job in the number 80 for Butt Motorsports in that Ford Mustang. And then Tom Sheehan in the Chevrolet Camaro in 6th position. Keith Prochuk in 7th. Then Ethan Wilson 8th. Ethan Wilson not finishing last time out in Detroit in the 2nd race. Doubleheader, remember, in Detroit. Kurt Voigt still in the top 10. And Doug Peterson in 10th position. So a big field of Trans Am TA2 cars right there behind Rafa Matos.
So not to throw in anything more,
Go on. No, but please do.
Yeah. So Doug Peterson is actually the owner of Rafa's car.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So and he's that lap car hanging back. So we'll see if there's a little.
I see your point. You think there might be a bit of hijinks?
I'm not going to speculate just yet.
I see your point, though. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No.
And I'm sure the officials know that as well.
Listen, Doug's a former champion. He knows how to race. He's not. And he knows that everybody's thinking that. So
he's going to be on his best behavior.
Yes, is what I'm.
We hope.
He's a good sportsman, and I don't think he's going to. He doesn't need to. Rafa's got this, and I think he knows he's got a talented guy in that car. Where's Jonah going? He's trying to get back with no door. One arm, one door. Gosh, Napoleon. It's always the history books that write the stories. Well, he's been in the wars the last 2 rounds, hasn't he, Joe?
Yeah. He's not had very good luck here.
He's getting a good view of the track, though. Nice view of the famous, iconic Brickyard. So they come across the famous strip one more time, and Rafa Matos waiting patiently for Joe Napoleon to effectively get out the way, having been excavated from the gravel trap. Big weekend of racing here. Some big names. Johnny Rutherford Bobby Unser. Just a delight to be able to see them wandering around the pagoda and enjoying the SVRA weekend, as well as, of course, Trans Am.
Looks like it's 1 to go.
Yes, and then we will have a sprint race to the end. And I think there's a few guys, I'm trying to look down the list of guys who I might think, someone like Ethan Wilson, maybe, Tommy, Jordan Bupp's got a good chance of maybe attacking to Bufamonte, and likewise Bufamonte might try to have a crack at Scott Lagasse after there's clearly been some problems for Scott over this race period. And like you say, we're going to watch out for Merrill. If he can attack Rafa, this is his best chance and best hope, but he's got a few back markers to get through first, including, including, as you said, Doug Peterson. So we are going to go green this next time by. The pace car will come off and we'll be racing once again in the Berryman Trans Am at the Brickyard, led by Rafa Matos of Brazil, the former Indy man who wants to win so badly here at the Brickyard and put that trophy on his mantelpiece, and he's done everything right so far, but now he's got to get one more thing together. Napoleon comes in. He's got to get this restart now. Tom Sheehan could have a crack in the all-yellow 97. He's 11 seconds adrift officially, but they're all packed in together now after this safety car.
It's a long track to be thinking it's one lap to go.
Yeah, and I bet the slower you're going, the warmer it is in those cars.
Yeah, but the cooler the tires, so.
Yeah. Here we go then. Rafa Matos leads this pack. Now, what's Peterson going to do? Rafa's certainly got the jump on them at the moment. Wow, Rafa's on his own. That was nicely done. Well, we said Peterson wouldn't have anything to do with it.
I don't know, that might be up for review.
And they're all queuing up behind him. Merrill's got past one. He's got past two. He's now got Peterson. He's got past all of them. And now it's first and second. Rafa, no, it's not quite. As they come to the corner, Merrill's not quite done it. Through they go. And in fact, Lagasse's got Merrill. Whoa, go Scotty boy. Nicely done.
With no door.
Yeah, well, who needs doors? That was great stuff, though, by Rafa. Peterson, though, played his part.
Yeah.
Now the 95 of Scott Lagasse all over the curbs there, trying to get past, and now he's going to use the grandstands, is he? No, he's come back on field. I thought he was going to go to the golf course for a minute.
Yeah,
but he's now back up to second place.
There's definitely a sense of urgency with Lagasse right now.
Yep, Merrill's got through two, and he's now 1, 2, 3, as we expected with 9 to go. But Rafa has already cracked this because he's pulled away at the front, and there you can see him. He's already through the next corner, and if they're gonna challenge him, they're gonna have to be quick because time is running out on this, the first race of the weekend for Trans Am, and it's been a good one. Rafa Matos unfettered by any competition at the moment. He didn't get the best of starts. He's had to do a restart. He got the perfect restart with a little help from his friends, and away he went.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's going to be some words in the paddock about that. That was a little bit too obvious.
Aaron Quine in the number 44. We're just going through that. And there is the gap that Rafa's created. He crosses the yard of bricks. Second place. The gap is 3.5 seconds now with 8 to go. You can see it for yourself. But more importantly, Merrill in this battle, second and third. Now, Merrill was taken by surprise, and I don't think he expected.
No, I think he was trying to play it smart. He was being aggressive, but being smart, and Lagasse with stock car backgrounds. I mean, those guys know how to restart.
Bufamonte still 4th, Jordan Butt 5th, Tommy Sheehan in 6th place, Project in 7th, then Kurt Voigt, he's moved up to 8th, ahead of Ethan Wilson, who's dropped to 9th. Quine in 10th position, the man from Ohio, of course, has been racing in the West. Look at the bodywork hanging off the car. He's half a door, half a side. Doesn't matter.
Merrill's about a 1/10 of a second quicker, but I don't know if there's enough time to knock off a couple seconds there.
he didn't need to take to the grass there either. So he's under pressure, and he's definitely not very stable at all. And surely Merrill's going to come back at him in the Mustang. Side by side at the moment. He's trying to hold on. Half a door, half a car, and up to the banking. Well, it's a good idea. Try to use the Indy banking and get a swing shot, but that's not going to work. And he almost tries to clatter into Merrill. Merrill side by side, and somehow Lagasse holds on for now. Incredible racing between these two. And he used the banking, then banged into him. 7 to go, and across the line they come.
So, big smoke damage from Lagasse. We're getting word Rafa's going to have a drive-through penalty.
What? So this is for the win?
They say for jumping the start,
no
which
way.
I do not agree with because Doug Peterson
to be
held
fair,
him back.
Well, yeah, but it depends where the starting point was. We saw the safety car come off, the pace car come off, and to be fair, Matos did accelerate fairly quickly. But now, therefore, if that is the case, this is the battle for the win, and Scott Lagasse's got half a car.
Yeah, and you know what? If I'm Rafa, I'm not coming in.
No.
I mean, and if Scott Lagasse pulls this off with a broken race car, I mean, it looks like he's at Bristol right now.
Well, and also the way he looked at it was Bristol using the oval to his advantage there. He went up onto the banking and then smashed his way into Thomas Merrill and just used him as a brake, which was quite interesting, but it hasn't helped the car much. But Rafa Matos, I agree with you. I think he's probably going to stay out there just so he can feel as though he's taking the checkered flag here, if that is the case. Drama indeed. We said there might be a twist and a turn, and there usually is in these races. But we've got a cracking finish to this one, and all over the place at the moment is Scott Lagasse. He's certainly not on the racing line. He's got half a door, a battered front left, rubbing bodywork, and you can see the car squirming underneath him as he tries to hold on to it. Rafa crosses the line with 66 to go, and look at the bodywork smoking as they cross the line. Surely Merrill's going to come across now and overtake. Merrill comes to the outside. Good defensive driving from Scott. Holds him here, but Bufamonte joins the party.
Yeah.
Tony Bufamonte smells blood. Oh, and sideways again goes Scott Lagasse. Surely Merrill's going to get past.
I don't know, and Bufamonte, this might play right into his hands, these guys battling. He may have been saving his tires.
Yep. So, well, and I said at the beginning of the race, if you remember, Bufamonte is probably in the best position because he hung back in 4th place while the others went to the sprint.
That's
and now
right.
Bufamonte is looking to come good in the closing stages. Great racing this from the Berryman Trans Am at the Brickyard. And the Brickyard's had some pretty sensational finishes over its massive history that goes back to 1909. All the greats have raced here. And this has been a good showing by Trans Am for sure. Rafa Matos, his decision hanging in the balance. Did he jump the restart or not? Either way, these guys are going to go hell-bent for leather for the victory. Sadly, Paul Tracy's race didn't come to be. He had damage to his car. Peterson played his role. And Rafa is off to the races and ahead by, what, some 6.8 seconds. But will it come to naught?
Obviously, Aero isn't too big of a deal here.
Yeah, clearly. And to be honest,
down pit road serving his penalty.
Yep, and here comes Rafa Matos. What a shame. Oh, and I can see him banging the steering wheel. Literally. Yeah. He's not happy, and I well understand that. Tough times for Rafa Matos. Meanwhile, the man leading the race has half a left door, damage to the front left, smoke pouring out down the main straight, but Scott Lagasse has somehow learned to drive this car as it is, and it ain't good.
It's Bristol. He's always driving at Bristol.
Yeah, he is. Oh, look at him throwing it around, and like you say, it's no point in talking about the aero package because it can't be as good as it was, but look who is looming. The two Mustangs there. One is Merrill, the other, who I think could be even stronger in the last 5 laps, is Bufamonte. And Bufamonte's seen this all before.
Yeah, and
he's used his experience, surely.
And I'm sure that his crew is telling him about points and everything, so he's good where he's at right now. That'll bring him up to about 10 points to Rafa.
Well, of course, at the start of this weekend, Matos 160, and Buffamonte 126. So if this all shakes out as it is right now, Buffamonte is going to gain the most. Oh, look at him sideways. I'll tell you what, impressive stuff by Scott, to be honest. Legacy's really having to fight that car, and more importantly, fight a 100% Merrill car as he now again sticks it up the outside again, but now he's gone and he's going to literally go wing to wing. Oh, they touch again, and Merrill risks everything, but he's through. Thomas Merrill goes through into the lead. No, he doesn't. Scott Lagasse holds him off. Great racing here at Indy.
I think Lagasse's got his hands full here, and if I'm Merrill, he wants it bad, but
well, Merrill's got to be careful here because that attempt showed everything about how
he's getting impatient.
Yeah, well, but also how tenacious Lagasse's going to remain. And Buffamonte, look how close he is now, and surely Buffamonte is going to take both of them on the next lap. That's my prediction. I think they'll come sweeping onto the main straight, and Buffamonte will say, thanks very much, guys.
And another thing, you know, with all the damage on Lagasse's car, if a bunch of parts start falling off, they might black flag him.
Yeah.
So Merrill has to have that in his mind, too.
But he's leading the race. How can you black flag him if he's still ahead of second and third? And, I mean, you could black flag him for that move down the main straight and blocking effectively Thomas Merrill. But here they go. Look, he uses the banking again. He used that to good effect last time, and he's tried it again. Nicely done. He gets a good swing shot off turn 2, backwards, so to speak, the Indy turn 2.
Yeah, and Merrill's really, really good at getting off of, I think it's 14 there.
Yeah. Now, Buffamonte on Merrill. Here he comes. This is the closest Buffamonte's been. He'll tuck himself up, get the slipstream if he can. They come past our commentary position. The number 34, the all-blue Mustang of Tony Buffamonte. Is he going to try and do a late break maneuver? Merrill goes to the outside, now to the inside. Can't do it. And Lagasse holds on with 3 to go. Well, he'll be able to, I'll tell you what, if he does win this, he'll be able to wave to the crowd.
Yeah, no kidding. Merrill needs to learn right here, not go on the outside like he did, because he can get off this corner pretty well.
Okay, let me put you in Tony Buffamonte's position. When would you make an attempt, given that these two guys are going hell-bent for leather against each other, when would you make your move?
Now. Now.
Now.
Wait till now.
You're just going to keep seeing now for the next 3 laps?
Yeah,
okay.
Right now.
I love it. Meanwhile, Merrill is going to try and push Lagasse out of the way at this point, I'm sure. I have to say, tenacious stuff from the 95 because he's got a damaged car. It's certainly not handling the best. He's lost his left door.
And with 3 to go.
Here we go. Merrill's got to run on him now. Couldn't quite do it. Look at Lagasse squirreling under braking, and again Merrill comes alongside him. Surely now.
No, I don't know if Merrill can do it.
Again, brakes very late. Here comes Buffamonte. Look at them nudging each other. Buffamonte comes into the battle now, side by side, second and third. Still Lagasse holds on. Somehow comes onto the main straight, and this is going to be an almighty finish at the end of this one. All 3 of them now glued together here at Indy.
Buffamonte's the only one with damage.
Without damage.
Yeah.
And Merrill's front is also dinged in now. And here comes Buffamonte for the lead. He goes to the outside. He gets up to second. And the 34, as predicted, has waited to pounce. Now, can he make a better meal of getting past Lagasse because Merrill couldn't do it and has damaged his car in the process?
Now, I said about the aero might not be a factor here, but now it is because Buffamonte, he doesn't have any damage. So, and you look how fast he can, I think he'll go for it right here.
Yeah, I think he certainly wants by him now because he doesn't want to get into a battle where Merrill could join him. Meanwhile, Jordan Buck's going to catch up if they're not careful. He's in 4th, Tommy Sheehan 5th. Rafa's still there in 6th place after his drive-through. So Rafa's going to score decent points. There's Jordan Buck. Whoa, smoke, yellow flags, waved, and drama again. And it is Lagasse, the man who has brought out the yellow by the looks of things. Let's see what happened there. And it looks as though Lagacy's lost out for sure, because there is Jordan Bupp. And now Bupp looking to try to get past Lagacy for third place. And the battle still at the front between Buffamonte. White flag, there is Buffamonte. Merrill's with him in second place. Lagacy's already sideways again as Bupp goes past him into third. Jordan Bupp's up to third, and here comes Rafa Matos. Goodness gracious, Matos has got a chance here of a podium. Buffamonte's going to go on and win.
Maybe.
Exactly.
Maybe.
Good caution there. Don't want to jump the gun at all, not in this race. 1 to go, but Tony Buffamonte doing a superb job. He does have now damage to his car, but I don't think it was not fair if nobody's got damage. I mean, whoever hasn't got damage hasn't really been racing hard enough.
That's exactly right.
Really. Bragging rights are the damaged cars, but Merrill has done a superb job of staying in there for sure. Lagacy's lost out to fourth. Matos is all over him now. And Bupp is there up to third place. Jordan Bupp has done an amazing job. We were talking about Bupp down in 12th about 20 minutes ago. Great stuff. So it's going to be, I say, and I don't want to predict anything, but it's going to be, at the moment anyway, Tony Buffamonte in the Mike Cope Racing Ford Mustang here at Indy, who's going to take the Berryman Trans Am at the Brickyard when...
And this is huge for his points, too.
It's great for his points and really opens up the championship. Rafa, though, has done well to come back. But let's give a big round of applause for this man. Tony Buffamonte started the race in fourth position, settled there, but then saw his chance. And there's the checkered flag for Tony Buffamonte. Merrill crosses the line in second place. Bupp takes third, and Rafa Matos in the end takes fourth place. And amazingly, Scott Lagacy comes across the line in fifth place, having led this race early on. But Tony Buffamonte does it. What a race. And I think it was just the waiting game. Smart move by him. Smart move by him. And, well, that had everything. And you're right not to predict the winner until I saw the checkered flag.
Great run by Tony. I mean, I don't want to speculate, but maybe he was saving his tires. Maybe he was, but that played into
I
his...
think he certainly was early on. He saw the other three get ahead, didn't get the best of starts, and you could see he was like not pushing as hard as the three in the front were. But a great lap at the end there, a 33.634. To be honest, Jordan Bupp also, the man from Fort Lauderdale, also needs a pat on the back for that one.
Yeah,
to get on the podium.
I was going to say, great to get on the podium for him. So we're going to get a replay here.
Yeah, let's take a look at what happened, because Lagacy was still challenging. So let's take a look at what actually happened. Here's Buffamonte, and he's behind Lagacy here. Buffamonte, that's where he got his damage. That turned Lagacy round. Merrill then followed him through. That's where we saw the smoke. We saw the end of it before. There's the beginning of it, and that's what allowed Buffamonte to take the victory. Rather battered, rather bruised, wouldn't want to be a mechanic down in the pits tonight, because there's a lot of work to be done. I think you better get the barbecue on, boys, because you're going to be here all night. It's going to be a lot of work for a lot of men there, but it's been great racing, and luckily they've got time to rebuild them again before the next one. But that was textbook stuff. You want to bring out your best when you go to the Brickyard, don't you? I think they did.
Yeah, absolutely. That was pretty dang exciting right there, to see Lagacy doing all that with a torn-up race car.
I know if I was one of those top three, I'd be wandering around the paddock, you know. I'd be like wandering around the paddock tonight going, no damage? What were you doing?
Yeah, you're not really racing out there, are you?
Did you not get out? So then, Tony Buffamonte with the victory. Merrill in second place. Jordan Bupp in third place. Rafa Matos in the end taking fourth place ahead of Scott Lagacy.
So we just got word that it'll be the 81 of Merrill who will be the winner. Because of the contact by Buffamonte.
So he's been blamed for the contact. Okay.
A bad points day for our first and second